Hi guys, I'm Kerri and I'm part of the counselling team at my Counselling Service Australia. Now the other day I was having a conversation with this young man and he brought up the subject of sex addiction, and he was talking about certain celebrities like David Duchovny and Michael Douglas. And he said, is this a real addiction? Is it like drug addiction? Does it actually exist? So I thought this might be a good opportunity to discuss sex addiction over the next few videos, because sex addiction is a real addiction. In fact, it actually functions in a very similar way to a drug addiction, in that when you are suffering from a sexual addiction, you're caught up in a cycle of desire, reward, very much like if you're taking drugs. If you have a drug addiction, you are affecting the neurotransmitters. So you take a drug and the brain is flooded with a chemical known as dopamine, and this dopamine is what causes that euphoric feeling, and that's your reward for engaging in that sort of behaviour. And with a sexual addiction, it affects the chemical makeup of the brain in a similar way. So you have this desire and then you act out on that desire, and the brain is then flooded with endorphins. And endorphins give you that temporary feeling of maybe feeling more confident, more relaxed, and generally a sense of well-being. And just like with a drug addiction, you build up tolerance. So what happens if you build up tolerance to a certain drug? You have to take more of that drug to get the same reward. And with sexual addiction, you need more sexual behaviour, and sometimes riskier sexual behaviour, to achieve the same reward. So after a period of time, you can imagine that the negative impact starts to far outweigh the reward. So you are trapped in this cycle of craving or desire and reward. So with sex addiction, often a person might become addicted to sex because of feelings of isolation. You might have feelings of anger, anxiety, depression. You might have had very poor sexual role models in your life. And what happens is that you start to feel a lot of guilt and shame about your thoughts and sexual behaviour. You might find that you start engaging in sex with people you don't really care about or don't even know. You might not be practicing safe sex anymore, which puts you at risk of STIs, unwanted pregnancy. Sometimes your sexual behaviour becomes so out of control that you cause bodily harm to yourself and maybe even bodily harm to others. And you actually start to feel very out of control. And it affects many aspects of your life negatively. You might find that your significant relationships begin to suffer. If you're a parent, your relationship with your children might start to suffer. You might not be focusing on work anymore, which results in financial stress as well. So you can see that sexual addiction is indeed a very serious addiction. But I'd like you to know that you're not as powerless to control your emotions and your thoughts and your behaviour as you might be feeling at the moment. And many of those things you consider your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities might turn out to be your greatest strengths. So in the next video, we'll talk about some steps which might be helpful to get you back on the path of a happier and healthier sexual behaviour, and a happier, healthier way of living. And although I know that addiction to pornography and sexual addiction often go hand in hand, we will deal with internet pornography addiction in a separate video. Okay, so be good to yourself, and next time we speak, we'll talk about some ways of assisting you into breaking out of this harmful behaviour. Okay, bye.